Music icon Sir Cliff Richard is returning to Australian shores. After decades of keeping his private world hidden behind warm smiles and timeless songs, Cliff Richard has finally spoken about the one heartbreak that never truly healed. In a deeply emotional confession that stunned even his most devoted fans, the beloved singer, now 83, broke down as he spoke of a woman he loved profoundly but never spent his life with. So who was she? And why did that love remain unspoken? Join us as we uncover Cliff Richard's emotional revelation about love and the hidden chapter of his heart. For decades, Cliff Richard stood firmly in the spotlight, smiling, singing, and shining as one of Britain's most cherished and enduring stars. To the public, he was always polished, gentle, and endlessly charming. Yet behind that glowing image was something he never shared openly. Something deeply personal, a truth he kept carefully guarded while the world kept wondering. For years, fans questioned why Cliff Richard never married. He had fame, wealth, adoration, and endless opportunities for romance. Still, he remained alone. Many speculated, but few truly understood. By the time Cliff entered his early 40s, he was no longer just a pop star. He was a legend, with countless hits, a clean-cut image, and millions of loyal fans. He had become a national treasure. But behind the sold-out concerts and smooth television appearances, Cliff was still just a man. And like many men, there was one person he could never forget. Someone who quietly lived in his heart for decades. That person was Olivia Newton-John. The world first fell in love with Olivia Newton-John's sweet, angelic voice in the 1970s. Her music was gentle, sincere, and filled with warmth. But when Cliff first met her through shared circles in the music industry, he saw something even deeper. They crossed paths often on stage, backstage, at charity events and television specials. Each meeting drew Cliff closer. She embodied everything he admired: grace, kindness, humility, and a radiant presence. She had a light, he would later say, not just on stage but in everyday life. You couldn't help but feel it. At that time, Olivia's career was rapidly ascending, driven by ambition and youthful energy. Cliff, already well established, became a source of friendship, guidance, and quiet encouragement. But beneath that friendship, something stronger began to form. Cliff, always cautious and private about romance, found himself thinking of her more than he intended. She made him smile. She awakened feelings he wasn't accustomed to. Yet he never spoke them aloud. Olivia was engaged, and Cliff, ever the gentleman, refused to cross that boundary. She was spoken for, he later said, and I respected that. You don't interfere with something that isn't yours. So instead of confessing love, he offered genuine friendship. A deep, meaningful bond. The kind where laughter required no words. Where singing together felt effortless. Where a single glance conveyed everything. But behind every duet, every embrace, every quiet moment, there were words Cliff never said. And so he remained silent. In his 2008 autobiography My Life, My Way, Cliff finally revealed what he had hidden for so long. Yes, I did fall in love with her, but I never told her. With that single admission, decades of speculation suddenly made sense. By the time Olivia became such an important presence in his life, Cliff had already made personal commitments to his faith, his family, and his career. Those promises were not symbolic. They were binding and they required sacrifice. So he never acted on his feelings. Not because he didn't feel love, but because to him, love also meant timing, honor, and responsibility. When those elements didn't align, he chose restraint. He chose silence. He chose friendship over heartbreak. Now that Olivia is gone, Cliff's voice shakes when he speaks of her. Tears come easily, because for more than 40 years, he carried a quiet love he never dared to confess. And that kind of love, unspoken, faithful, and enduring, may be the most powerful of all. So why did Cliff Richard never marry? Why did his relationships never seem to last? Why, despite a life surrounded by fame and glamour, did he often seem quietly alone? To understand, we must look deeper into Cliff's life and values. Cliff Richard was only 21 when his father passed away, a loss that reshaped his life overnight. One moment he was a rising star. The next, he felt the full weight of responsibility. He became the man of the house, determined to support his mother and sisters. Family came first. As success arrived, grief arrived alongside it. Cliff chose loyalty over indulgence. Years later, he reflected, "Showbiz was in my blood, but my heart was with my family." That sense of duty shaped everything, especially his approach to love. Known for his clean, scandal-free image, Cliff lived by strong Christian values after his conversion in the 1960s. While many stars embraced excess, Cliff chose restraint. His faith guided him, but it also came with loneliness. During the 1970s and 80s, as his bond with Olivia Newton-John deepened, so did his feelings. Yet he remained silent. The moment to speak had passed. She had moved on, and Cliff refused to disrupt her happiness. He stayed close as a supportive friend, offering kindness and encouragement, while carrying his love quietly. Over the years, Cliff dated other women, including tennis star Sue Barker. For a time, fans believed marriage might finally happen. Rumors swirled, hopes rose, but nothing followed. Cliff later described his romantic life as a series of false starts. Many wondered if he had ever truly let go of Olivia. When questioned about marriage, Cliff often avoided direct answers. But after Olivia's passing, the truth emerged. He had loved her deeply and silently, accepting that some loves are carried alone. As Olivia's fame soared, especially after Greece made her a global icon, Cliff watched with pride and quiet sorrow. He praised her endlessly and supported her publicly. They even performed together, most notably in the duet Suddenly. To audiences, it was a beautiful song. To those who sensed more, it felt like a glimpse into an unspoken connection. Still, Cliff never crossed the line. Olivia married, built a family, and lived her life. Cliff remained nearby, never interfering, never confessing. In 2022, the world mourned Olivia Newton-John's death. Tributes poured in, but one stood apart. Cliff Richards. He chose not spectacle, but tenderness. Through a heartfelt letter and emotional appearances, he finally revealed the truth he had carried for decades. He called Olivia pure light and one of the greatest blessings of his life. Then he said the words that stunned everyone. "She was the love of my life, and she never knew." It was a moment of raw honesty. No performance, no polish, just a man grieving, speaking his truth. Cliff had shared stages and songs with her, memorized her smile, loved her in silence, and she never knew. His words resonated with anyone who had ever loved quietly, who had ever wondered what might have been. He spoke without bitterness, only gratitude. He hadn't lost her, because he had never claimed her. But now, the weight of that unspoken love was too heavy to carry alone. Cliff Richard's life is one of extraordinary success. Hundreds of millions of records sold, a knighthood, decades of chart-topping hits. Yet behind it all was one unfinished story. Olivia Newton-John was not just a chapter. She was the page that never closed. So who was Olivia Newton-John? Born on September 26, 1948, in Cambridge, England, Olivia came from a remarkable family. Her father, Brinley Newton-John, was an MI5 intelligence officer involved in the Enigma project during World War II and later a school headmaster. Her mother, Irene, was born into a Jewish family in Germany and fled to Britain in 1933. Olivia's lineage included Nobel Prize-winning physicist Max Born and even distant royal ancestry. In 1954, her family moved to Melbourne, Australia, where her love for music blossomed. Olivia's personal life included several relationships, engagements, a marriage to actor Matt Lattanzi, the birth of her daughter Chloe, and later marriage to John Easterling. Through joy, heartbreak, and resilience, she lived fully and kindly. And through it all, Cliff Richard watched quietly, loved silently, and remained faithful to a love he never spoke aloud. So what do you think of Cliff Richard's revelation? Share your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to like and subscribe.